So first of all, thank you so much for taking your time today to show up to do this webinar with me. Um, I'm very passionate about this. As I talk about, if you're someone that's worked with me in the past, you know me well. Some of this, there'll be a little bit of repeat on some things, but the thing is there's a formula. So even though there's things that you may have heard before, or maybe some things you might actually be doing, the difference is going to be how we approach them. And I'm going to talk about that today. I always say, think about a great chef, right? Anybody that's got one of these great shows on TV, or these great chefs. I live in Vegas that work out of these incredible casinos. Somebody could give me the same ingredients and even give me all the directions for a recipe to make something. And I promise you, I'm not going to make it like Bobby Flay. There's a difference. So the difference is understanding how you use the ingredients, the correct recipe, the timing. And so I'm going to take you through the formula that's going to help you create success this year. Same formula I've been using for myself for a long time, over a decade and a half. There's some things that have been polished, but it's basically that. And then in addition, I'm also going to be helping you start to identify things you need to do that are going to change the way you feel, so that we're not only going to get better performance through the year, but you're going to feel better and show up as the best version of yourself. Okay. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. Now, again, thank you for showing up and taking the time. I want to really quick just kind of say, if anybody's dealing with anything with the fires, I know a lot of us are dealing with this, maybe directly affecting you, maybe something that's affecting someone you know. Just want to send prayers out, love to everybody, and hope that everybody's safe and finds a way through healing and prosperity soon. Today's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm going to take you through the information today. Something that I'm very good at, something I enjoy doing, is making things simple. I want to make it to where you can understand it. I don't want to fire hose you to where you feel overwhelmed and don't know where to start. So I'm going to take you step by step through the information today. We're going to first talk about what we're going to do. Then I'm going to take you through steps of what you should do and why you should do it. So it'll be nice and easy. I'm going to take some time as we go through this to give you a moment to think and write some things down. In addition to that, at the end, I'm also going to provide you with a link where you can go and download an infographic of everything we're talking about. So a nice little infographic that takes you through what the routines are, the steps, the tools I'm going to give you to use today, so that you have those tools. I'll make sure you've got plenty of resources to provide you with abundance and a path forward for this year. Okay, so as we start, I'm going to bring up my little webinar, a little presentation for you here so we can see this together. Now, let me bring this up like this. Okay, so we're going to go through some things here today. The biggest thing we're going to learn about today is changing, understanding how to embrace change and looking at change differently. Because a lot of times what happens is we think we have to use the wrong strategies, right? What happens is we think that the goal is to have the best goals, to have the best plan. And that is really important. But if you don't have the right mindset and the right tools and the right disciplines, it doesn't matter what plan you have, you won't show up and follow through. You won't find success. So it's very important to understand that it's about how you approach something. We're going to take you through that today, okay? So my goal is that this year will be better than the last for you. That is my goal. I promise you, if you take on the things that I give you today, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, and you commit to doing these things every day, every week, this whole month for 30 days alone, I promise you, you're going to transform your life. And that's not any fluff. You will change, but you have to commit to it. Even when it's tough, even when it doesn't feel like you don't want to continue with it, when things are struggling, stick with it. Trust me. It's like going to the gym and working out when you haven't been working out, or picking up a new, if you haven't played the saxophone, you grab the saxophone. Trust me, you're not going to be good at it today. You keep doing it for a year, and a year from now, you'll be better. But these things will really quickly change the way you show up each day and how you perform quickly. I'm talking like within a week or two, you're going to notice dramatic changes, but you got to stick with them, okay? So as we have here, change can feel difficult. It can feel scary, but change is the foundation of growth. So a couple things we have to do, and I want you to notice this as we go through this today, okay? It's not about just gaining something. It's not about just learning something new. It's about a transition. Whenever we change, we have to identify something that doesn't work. Something like, I can't figure this out. I'm not good at this thing, or this isn't fitting in my life. We then have to figure out what we want in place of it. And then we have to figure out how to switch that thing out and create a new behavior that has value for us. Value is not just pain management. Value is not just saying I've taken a problem away. Value is saying I've taken the problem away, but I understood why the problem was there. That problem was there because I thought that what I was doing was protecting me. I thought what I was doing was give me the most happiness or fulfillment or health. Even sometimes if it's crazy thing, like maybe even addictions, right? Sometimes addictions, we're doing that because we want peace of mind. We're trying to find some moment of happiness, give ourselves some hope. So the goal is to remove something that isn't serving you and put something in place of it that has a clear value. When that happens, change happens rapidly because your unconscious mind is always looking for ways to do things better. It's looking for ways to things to be more efficient, more effective, simple, more impactful. And when you see that value and you understand it, it translates, and therefore that becomes a new habit or a behavior, okay? And it's integrated. So that's why I have this here. We have to let go of the past. Something that's troubling you now, something you no longer need, is no longer serving you, has to go away. And you have to commit to something new, a process where you see a value in it. I have a lot of people that come to me for coaching. They typically come to me in one of two places. They're either stuck and can't figure out where to go, or they are in a place where they're doing well, but they don't know what the next step is. So they're maybe not as confident or competent in the path forward. The thing is, you have to put together a plan. You have to put together a plan that you're going to commit to and you're going to stick to, where you see, like, when I do this plan, here's the value I will get. Okay. And then honor your vision, meaning you have to be aware each day. You have to be intentional, and you have to think through what you're doing. We're going to talk about this in a minute. Everything you do should reverse engineer, meaning you should have a plan for your year, knowing where you want to be at the end of the year, financially, spiritually, health wise. Who do I want to be? How do I want to change to? Like at the end of this year, when I look back next January, how do I want to be better or different? And then you break that down, reverse engineer it down to each month. So what am I going to do in January? What am I going to do in February? What am I going to do in March that's going to take me there? Then you break that down. So this is what I'm going to do in January. Then this is what I'm going to do all 4 weeks in January. And what am I going to do each day of that week? That way you're always making sure you're intentional. At the beginning, this can sound cumbersome to people. It's like, oh, it sounds like so much work, but it's not. When you identify what you want, what you're doing is you are committing to staying focused on what you want and what you're most passionate about. It's making sure that each day you're inspired, you're excited, and you're fulfilled, meaning you're actually making progress. That each day, the things that you're investing your time, money, and energy into are going towards something that you see value in. You can say, this was a good day. I accomplished X, and that's going to help me with this week doing this. And this week will help me do this for the month, and starts to grow. But I can tell you, this sounds simple, but what most people do is they're constantly stepping away. What they did today didn't really have any connection to what their main goals are. This whole month, they got off track, and I totally forgot, and I focused on problems and didn't really build momentum to the things I wanted. Or this is the dream I really wanted, but I just didn't have time for it. If you do that, results are never going to get you where you want to go, right? So it's about aligning everything, making sure there's a vision that's congruent. And each day you can say, I'm showing up as the best version of myself. I'm seeing progress, and I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay. So as we go through this process today, some things you're going to hear me talk about, you're familiar with. Some you may have coached with me even before you worked with me. Some things may be brand new. Doesn't matter. I'm going to ask you to surrender to the process. I can promise you this. You're going to get results. And when you surrender the process, you're going to see results quicker, and you're going to enjoy it. I will not waste your time. I won't waste my time. Most of my clients, I'd say half or more of them, when they come to me, these things are completely new to them, or they're completely contrary to the way they behave and what they want to do. And so it's hard to surrender at first. And the minute they do, they go, oh my God, Brett, things are so much easier. I'm seeing results quickly. I'm feeling so much better. My stress levels have dropped. I can promise you this. My goal is to have you feeling so much more inspired within a week, that your stress levels are improving within a week. And they absolutely will. I promise you they absolutely will, but you have to do the work. Okay. So to do it, you got to surrender. I always say, imagine this. Imagine we're going out together to go try on a suit or a dress for you. You got an event to go to. And so we're trying to find the right look for you for this event. If you go, you got to try everything on, right? You have to I say, hey, this is a nice dress or a nice suit. Let's see how it looks on you. You try it on and you tell me how it feels. It feels good. It looks good. I like this. I don't like this, right? But you have to try it on. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do is, for 30 days, try this on. Give it 100%. See what fits, see what doesn't fit, and see how it changes you. I promise you, you're just going to try and realize that it's all going to fit and make you feel better. But the resistance will hold you back to the past, okay? So make a promise to yourself that you're going to use the tools provided and stay committed to this program for at least 30 days. If you stick to it to 30 days, I promise you, you're going to feel incredible. And you'll just continue to build skills that you're going to use long term. These are not just face value skills, meaning like you're just going to get the value out of it today. They're things you're going to develop that you'll then continue to use forever. Now, results, you're going to feel better. You'll experience less stress. You'll gain clarity and more motivation for life. So a lot of value of this. Now, as your coach, I know that it's important when we start these things to make sure that we're really here and really present. There are a couple things that keep us from learning. One of them is making sure we know why we're here, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So we clearly identify your attendance today with a value and a goal, and also making sure that we let go of whatever's going on around us. Many of us are probably taking a break from work, just got done with a meeting, have kids, just got done with a workout, getting ready to go to a meeting. So we can be emotional, we can be distracted. So we're going to take a moment. I'm going to make sure we get the most out of our time together. And we're going to start by doing a little breathing together as a group. Breathing is so powerful. If you're not familiar with breath work, follow my stuff offline, connect with me afterward. I'd love to give you some information because it's way more powerful than you realize. It's not anything woo-woo. The fact of the matter is your breath tells your mind and your body how to behave. So when you're breathing anxious, it tells your mind to turn on fight or flight and to stay anxious. Fight or flight is not a place you want to be operating from. That's a place where you have adrenaline and cortisol and your body's pumped up and it's anxious or nervous or amped. Not a place to make decisions. Fight or flight is when you're in danger and you need to move quickly, right? We want to turn off the fight or flight mechanism. Most of us, unfortunately, live in fight or flight. If you think about it, most of us are 50 to 70, 80, 90% of the time sad, depressed, anxious, nervous, frustrated, something. That is not a place to make good decisions. You don't have clarity when you're emotional. Emotions are a signal. So I'm going to give you a couple things to write down as we go through this. Write that one down just as a little side note, okay? Because it's another big thing to learn. Emotions are a signal. What it means is when you have an emotion, you shouldn't repress it. You shouldn't be afraid of it. You shouldn't be embarrassed or ashamed of it. What you should do is think, thank you, God, you're giving me navigation. It's a navigation tool. It's telling you where to go and what you need to do next, right? It's telling you to pause and say, hey, something's not right in this situation. We need to make an adjustment. You need information. You need to change the relationship, okay? So the reason I'm telling you this is a lot of us are entering this right now and you may be angry, frustrated, depressed, anxious, nervous, doubtful. Those are not good places to learn. When you're in those places, what happens is we don't really integrate the knowledge. So breath work, breathing, moves us through. It says to our mind, hey, I'm okay right now. I'm here. I got the signal. Let me turn off this anxiety. Let me turn off this emotional state and let me open my mind so that I'm in the right brainwave to receive. And then through breath work and meditation, we're able to integrate knowledge so that we don't repeat the same patterns that most of us typically do. Okay. So starting today, I want us to breathe and get us in that place to make sure you're in the most advantageous spot and you gain the most out of this experience. Benefits of breath work right here. You saw these, I just covered them. But again, focus, stress management, enhanced creativity, integration. We move through different brain waves throughout the day. Right now, you're in alpha and beta brain waves. That's the high active brain waves when we're speaking. Those are not the brain waves that integrate. In order to integrate knowledge, your body has to calm down and go down into delta and theta brain waves. That's where your brain doesn't update. Just like your phone doesn't update while you're using it. It says, tonight, plug me in the wall. While you're sleeping, I'll update. So you have to understand that if you don't move yourself through these different brain waves and move yourself through different levels of stress, meaning lowering them, your mind won't learn. If you're super anxious and super stressed, I can guarantee you that in your life, you're repeating patterns, you're seeing the same problems over and over, and you're feeling a sense of overwhelm all the time because your fight or flight's on and it's not shutting off. Hopefully today through our practice and the processes I give you, you'll start to turn that off. That's one of the main benefits is you're going to turn off this fight or flight mechanism and start to operate in a more flow state, a more grounded present state. Changes everything for you. Okay. So first thing I want us to do before we jump into our breath work, why are you here today? I want you to take a moment and I want you to write down on your paper, your journal, what brought you here today? What inspired you to show up? Was it, oh, hey, I need help with this specific thing? Was it, I'm uninspired right now? Resolutions haven't worked for me in the past. I need to build confidence. Whatever that thing is, what do you want to gain from this specifically today? The more specific, the better for you. I'm here because I've been really bad at following through on my goals, and I want a plan that inspires me to follow through. Okay? Great. So why am I here today? I think it's important with that too, if you can identify it. What do you want to gain? So what do I want to learn from this today? Also, what do I want to release? Maybe I just move too fast. Maybe I'm always feeling rushed and I want to let go of feeling rushed. and I want to gain clarity on my future path so I can follow through. Great. Now, what we're going to do, go back here for a minute. We're going to do a little breathing together, okay? Now, I'm going to teach you a quick technique. This will also be in the information later. This is a super simple technique. I want to keep things simple, so it's better about getting a habit of learning the practice than worrying about how you advance the practice right now. You can get to that later. Showing up is the key first. So there's a very simple breathing technique called 4-2-6. 4-2-6. What that means is you're going to inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. You're going to hold it at the top for 2 seconds. And then you're going to exhale out your mouth. An easy sigh for 6 seconds. So 4, 2, 6. We're going to do that in a second together, but I want to tell you one thing about it that's also valuable. Something about breath work, breathing in general. Anytime you exhale longer than you inhale, you are lowering your stress. You're relaxing your body and allowing your fight or flight mechanism to turn off. You're becoming present and you're grounding yourself. Very important skill to learn. Whenever you breathe inhales faster and longer than the exhales, you're amping your body up. Think about if you just did a big run and you come home and you're exhausted, you stop and you go, long exhale, that's your body calming down, relaxing. But if you're getting ready to take that run, you're like, you might pump yourself up a little bit. You know, we kind of jump when we get those short breaths, that staccato breath that's getting us energized, okay? So most of us need to relax. Most of us need stress relief. So you're going to want to exhale longer than the inhales. So let's do a couple rounds of this 4-2-6 breathing together. This is going to help you come into this moment in space. It's going to help you let go of stress. It's going to get you targeted, focused on what we're doing. It's also going to bring our group, our collective together in a space. So we're all here right now and leave everything at the door for the time being. So when I breathe, I'm going to do it like this with you. I'm going to just say, inhale, we'll go 4-2-6. So if I go like this, we're inhaling through the nose. This is holding our breath at the top for the 2 seconds, and that's exhaling. So you can kind of watch me do the movements with us. So just breathe with me, whatever's comfortable for you. So we're going to inhale and hold and exhale out the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Hold. Exhale. Inhale through the nose. Hold. And exhale. One last one. Inhale. Hold. And exhale. Nice. Should have started to help you begin to feel like you're in this space. Okay. I'm going to give you more of those techniques later, and there'll be more follow-up emails when we're done. Then I'm going to give you guys some good stuff on breath work to educate those that are interested. Okay. So we should be here now, hopefully present in this moment and knowing why you're here today. So what needs to change? A lot of times when I talk with people, even before I did this webinar, I talked to a couple clients and some friends who wanted to show up, and I said to them, what would you want to gain out of a webinar like this? When you go to a webinar or anything like this, what are you expecting to get? And it was all the same stuff we've done a million times before. Get better at setting goals, know how to make a plan, how to follow through. And yeah, that stuff is great. That stuff's important. You don't need me to educate you on that. Like setting a goal, pick something you want and set a goal. We can talk about how to set better goals, but we know how to set goals. The problem is setting the wrong goals, not having a good plan, and then not ever achieving those goals. Why are we not achieving them? One, because we don't usually attempt, we give up. But the other thing is usually the plan we have is not the right plan. That's what I'm going to talk about today. It's a shift in thinking. It's not about goal setting. I'm not here to teach you how to set goals. I'm not here to show you how to make a plan. I'm here to show you how you're going to design that, how you can do that for yourself. So you're going to know in the future how to always set a plan that inspires you, that fulfills you, and that connects, that's harmony. So if you're working on something in your health and fitness, it's still benefiting your business. If you're working on something in your business, it's still benefiting your relationships. Everything is going to work cohesively, and it's going to allow you to continually build momentum to the future. So we need to shift your focus. So we need to change our focus from improving skills to, we need to change our focus to improving skills and behaviors rather than setting goals. When you get the right mindset, the right attitude, and the right follow through with disciplines, you can do anything. The challenge is you're setting goals wrong. Okay. Solution is learning how to enhance your performance so that any challenge that's put in front of you, you're able to succeed at. Okay. Now, I want you to think really quick. What needs to change in your life? I want you to identify two things real quick and write them down. But I want these to be the two things that'll make the biggest positive impact in your life when you change them. Okay. So, not just simple things. Don't just pick something random. Think what's fundamental. When I change this about my life, this will radically change my life for the better. Like, if you never speak up for yourself, if you're not confident, you don't ever speak up. If you started speaking up, how much would that change your life? If you don't believe in yourself, or if you've just started to become negative about yourself, believing in yourself again, that could be a huge change. So, something that's really going to radically change your life. Okay, good. Now, those are the things I want you to take through this. I want you, as we go through, I'm going to keep going back to this to help make sure you connect to it. What brought you here? The intention of what I want to get. So I want X in my life. I want more of this. I want to become this. And here's two things that I need to change. And when they do, they'll make a big positive impact in my life. Let's start looking at how those work cohesively, right? They have to connect. If they don't connect, then you're working on two different lives. Why should you change? This is simple. I always talk about this. What most people are doing in life is we're living in pain management, which means if you ask them what their goals are, you look at their life, what they're doing, where they invest their time, money, energy, it's all about reducing pain. The goal is to make enough money to pay my bills this month, to not fight with my partner anymore, to just feel good enough to get through this. Just can't wait till the end of the month or till I get there, right? There is no there. But that's what we do is we pain manage. So rather than living inspired and motivated or excited, we're just trying to mitigate pain and stress. I don't want you to be living that way. I want to make a shift in that for you. So that's not pain management anymore. Pain management, I get it. When we're in so much pain, we do want the pain to stop, right? But that's not the goal. That may be a step in the process. It should not be the ultimate goal. And a lot of times we get stopped there. We say, I'm just so stressed. I just want this. And we give up. It's like shooting for the fence, but aiming for the moon. You're not giving yourself a long enough runway there. What you should be doing is saying, I really want this. Right now, I'm going to figure out how to solve this pain, and then I'm going to work on having this thing, furthering the vision. The way we make the shift, emotional intelligence. That's a big part of what we're going to talk about today. Emotional intelligence in how we understand our emotions and manage them, how we communicate with others and understand them, but most importantly, how we begin to navigate through our life, how we become a witness of our own life so that when things happen, when we become triggered, when the unexpected things happen that happen every single day, rather than it throwing us off our path, we see it as working for us or a challenge that has value, but we're able to step back and choose how we want to approach this issue instead of giving up on the whole plan. Okay. That provides us emotional intelligence, helps us have strategic thinking. So if you have time to be objective in your thinking, you're able to step back and say, I can think through this and choose how I want to do this, how I want this to affect me, who I want to be, and what I ultimately want, rather than just jumping up and immediately reacting, right? That's like road rage or anger management, people dealing with things like that. It's just immediate. Something happens and we triggered and we go right into a state of a pattern, an old pattern. We don't want that. We want observation. So another thing I talk about all the time, I'm going to give you guys a couple little nuggets here. A few minutes ago, I said emotions are a signal. That's a huge one to remember. Just remember, emotions are always trying to guide you. They're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to tell you at that moment, pause, take a moment and figure out what I'm trying to tell you. The emotion's there to guide you, okay? The other thing is, which is going to be a big part of what we talk about today, is emotional thinking versus objective thinking, okay? This is a big part of the problems we deal with in life. Most of us are emotional all the time, and that's not a good place to make a decision. It's a good place to stop and evaluate because our mind is telling us, wow, if I'm so angry, there's something that needs to change before I move forward. If I'm really sad, there's something missing I'm not getting in my life, and I need to figure out how to get it before I move forward. If I'm fearful, there's knowledge that's holding me back from making a confident decision. I need to learn something else. There's always value in those emotions, but you're not supposed to act on them. You're supposed to learn from them and then take the clear action that's defined. Okay? It shouldn't be a trigger. It should be a trigger for learning, not for action. So emotional versus objective thinking. What you want to do is you want to get objective. Objective means you're able to step back when something happens and see the value in it. You're able to assess the situation and you have options. You have flexibility. When we're emotional, we don't have options. It's just we feel overwhelmed. We just go. We don't know what to do. So as we learn to become emotionally intelligent, we learn to become objective. We learn to slow down, to understand and empathize with ourselves and others, and to assess the situation and give ourselves options or choice. That's what's so important. Now, how am I going to change? We've kind of talked about this, but I'm going to go through what I call the pillars of success today. Okay. There's several of these, but when you get these fundamental pillars we're going to talk about today, they're going to bring you peace. I promise you, they're going to bring you peace. You're going to recognize, like, wow, when I do this, I'm so much more peaceful. And it's a challenge, right? One thing that's important, I want everybody to understand that's listening today. Every time we change, every time we evolve, there's a process that happens. It isn't different, isn't different for every person. There's a process we go through where we realize we're not good at something. It's uncomfortable. And we go, oh, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at following through. I'm not good at listening. I'm not good at making decisions. So that's called conscious incompetence. We're aware that we're bad at something. It's not a good place to be. It's uncomfortable. But that tells us now there's something to change, to do. And so then we take on the path of learning and growth, which is conscious competence, meaning as you work, you'll get better at doing it and you'll be able to produce the result, but it's still not easy. And there's going to be times where it's not going to work out. I'm not expecting you to do this and commit to 30 days and have every day just be an ace and work perfectly. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is some days will go good, some days will go bad. Some days you'll follow through, some days you'll forget, and that's okay. Something I want you to write down, one of the biggest things, write it like this big on your paper, write it on the wall. Write the word grace and promise to give yourself grace over the next 30 days with this process. Be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to grow. You're going to make mistakes, and that's great. It's falling forward, right? As long as you say, oh, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm doing my best, you'll continue to thrive from it, okay? That's the key. Now, here are the things I want to give you. Like I said, when we're done, I'm going to give you an infographic that's going to have these steps in it as well. So you can write down everything you want. I think it's good to write it down anyway because it'll start to integrate it into your mind. Different things happen when we engage our whole self in writing. But I'm going to make it clear so you have each of these things to utilize at home. And these will be pillars that once you apply them, they're going to start to bring you peace. And you'll see that every day they make each other pillar more simple. Okay? So 3 mantras to live by. Why I believe this is important, okay? What I do is, and we're going to talk about this in all the pieces I give you today, is 2 things need to happen in order for us, in my opinion, in my work, in order for us to see the success we want in all areas of life. One of those things is we have to have a vision of who we want to be and where we want to go. That vision is a growing vision. It's a living piece of artwork. It's changing all the time. It shouldn't be static. It should be evolving because we evolve, things change. We want more. We want to shift something we don't want anymore. That's fine. But you need to always have a clear vision or an active vision that you're working on and working towards. Should be pulling you towards a goal, showing you the direction you're going, helping you make decisions because it should align. If I want to become this person, then there are actions I need to take to get there. And it reminds me to stay focused on those actions. That's one part, the vision. The other part is how we show up each day, peak performance. Because you can have the best vision in the world, but if you don't show up as the person you need to be each day, you're never going to get there. Or you're going to cause yourself so many problems. You're going to zigzag all over the place, and it's going to be a much longer journey to get there, okay? So these tools I'm giving you are to help you show up as the best version of yourself every single day. Okay. First is 3 mantras to live by. Okay. I suggest that you read these every morning when you wake up. My routine is when I wake up in the morning, within the first 10 minutes of waking up, I come in and I sit down in my temple, a place I have in my home that I have identified as this is the space where I come to just do work on myself, personal growth work, meditating, reading, praying, affirmations, breath work. That's all that happens in this space. So the minute that I go in there in the morning, my body's already settling, knowing that this is a place I come to for peaceful work. And then what I do is I check in with myself. The first thing I do, the first 10 minutes, I say, how am I feeling today? How am I thinking today? And how am I breathing today? I just check in. And remember, grace. I never judge it. No matter if it's good, bad, or ugly, I don't judge it. It's just information. Shows me where I am and what needs to adjust to go where I want to go when I make the choice, right? This is about giving you choice to build your day rather than feeling like you're just at the mercy of how the day goes. So, how am I breathing? How am I thinking? How am I feeling? Then I adjust it. So then I make adjustments. Then I do some breathing. I do the 4-2-6 or some other breath work I have. I do anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes of breath work because that's the first thing I'm doing. First thing in the mornings, I'm getting myself into my mode. I'm putting the mask on me before I put it on somebody else on the plane. I make sure that I am clearly in the best state of mind, and the breath work removes my stress, activates my mind, and gets me ready for the day. Then I meditate. I either meditate doing like a transcendental meditation where I calm myself and I just let my mind go. When I do that calming meditation, it's just to clear the noise in my mind and just to get present, just to let everything fade away and to filter through what's important. Sometimes I'll do a visualization meditation where I go to that vision we just talked about a minute ago and I go out and I see it. And I just let my mind take me there. And I go and sometimes I live in that world. Sometimes I go play in the world. Sometimes I challenge myself to see more of it and put more puzzle pieces together. But it's always connecting me daily with that vision. So I remember, this is the goal. This is what I'm here for. This is my calling. These are the things I'm really working towards. I've taken time to build. So I'm tapping in and reminding myself that's the map we're working towards. Okay. Then I need to show up each day as the best version of myself to get there. One of the first things I do is I start reading over mantras because these mantras are things that are going to remind me who I need to be. I've given you these because these are the ones I feel are extremely powerful. They relate to everybody, and there's much deeper value to them than the face value. So I want to explain them for a minute. So I'm always doing the best I can, and that's the best I can do. That's the first mantra. What I like about this is a couple things. You have to believe it to become it. Just like Michael Jordan used to say, every time before he shot a basket, he saw himself making that basket 100 times in his mind. So you have to believe things. You have to put it out there. Sometimes we have to cheerlead ourselves to become something when we're not it yet. So maybe you're not doing your best. But by telling yourself you're doing your best, what you're doing is you're pumping yourself up. And you're also, when you say, I'm doing the best and you're not, your mind's going to say, yeah, Brett, but you're not because you haven't finished this yet and you need to be doing this. And then I make those my action items for the day. I don't beat myself up and say, oh man, I'm not a good person. I go, that's what I'm going to work on today. If I want to be my best, my mind's telling me I need to do this. And so that's what I do. I'm always doing the best I can, and it's the best I can do. Sometimes I am. I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. And it just feels great. Sometimes I say it, I'm like, you got to do this today. And then you will be your best. And I make that adjustment. Also, sometimes this is important to me because I do so many things, and sometimes I'm trying to take on too much. I'm coaching 10 executive clients. I got 3 companies, 2 events going on. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm trying to ask myself for more than what I can do, and I can't. This is the best I can do. So it's a reminder that I am doing my best. So it's powerful. If you take your time and you read it and you really let it resonate with you, it will shift your performance. Next one is let go of things needing to be a certain way. This is huge. So many of us are rigid, not even at an unconscious level, we don't realize it. Things need to be a certain way. We have expectations. I did this for my boss. I did this at work. I did this for my wife or my husband. So this should be like this. Or I'm always doing this. They should always do that. And there's just things we start to hold on to. And what happens is when you're inflexible or you're rigid, the world starts to close in and you start to be really frustrated because nothing seems like it's going your way because you want it to be in this box and everybody's coloring outside of it. When you let go of things needing to be a certain way, what happens is it doesn't mean that you have to do everything that somebody presents to you, or you have to be flexible in every way. But again, you become objective and you start to at least entertain the information. Somebody else says, hey, maybe there's a way of doing this. Or your partner says, hey, can we try this? Instead of shutting it down because it's not what you want, listen to them, take it in, respect the information, process it, and then come back later. I like to look at it like this. I like to say that each of us is born based on our environment, our experience, our family, wherever we're at's different. My life is different than somebody who's born in a third world country, right? But each of us are born with a box of crayons. And based on your life, your experience, again, like somebody that's born maybe a third world country like in Africa, maybe they're born with a couple crayons. They get like a yellow, a brown, and a black. There's not a whole lot that they get to color a really dynamic life with because they don't have a lot of resources. It's been unfortunate. They don't have a lot of support, safety, love, food, guidance. So for them, the picture they can paint is not as brilliant as maybe someone who's born with more blessings, right? It's not fair. It's not fair, but that's how it is. And I look at each situation in my life as an opportunity to gain another color in that box, another way of seeing something, another way of painting something, another way of understanding or embracing something. And when you do, you see everything as opportunity to expand your performance and your perspective rather than being rigid and needing it to be a certain way. Okay. The solution to all my problems, the next one here, the solution to all my problems is showing up as the best version of myself every day. And this is the truth. The goal of what we're doing here is helping you learn how to develop a process that allows you to show up as your best every single day. But that's the goal. This is why, really simply to break it down. Every emotional state you go through, whether you're angry or sad or depressed or happy or, completely joyful, they're all a different version of yourself. Think about yourself when you're really angry. When you're really angry, we look different, we talk different, we feel different, we say different things, we perceive the world differently. If we're really at peace and happy, totally different version of ourselves. So the thing I do is every day, I make sure I'm showing up as the best version of myself. What I mean by that is before I do something, before I showed up at this webinar today, I sat down and meditated for a few minutes, said a prayer, got myself here, remembered why I was doing this, and I said, okay, is the version of Brett that's showing up right now the guy I would hire to do this job or a guy I would fire for doing the job, right? You got to say, is this the person I want to hire to do this? This person in my relationship, the one that had the conversation with my wife last night when we were arguing, was that the person I would have hired for that job? No, never. So you got to say, am I showing up as the person that I would hire if I was paying someone to do this job? Is this the best version of me for what I need? And again, it's the objectivity. Like I said, everything's going to keep going back and relating to the same thing. It's going back and not being emotional. It's being objective. It's taking a minute for options and looking at the situation and strategically saying, am I making the right decision? Am I being the person I need right now? And do I understand what that's going to get me? What's the value or the reason for doing this? As we slow down and do that, all of a sudden everything starts to harmonize and we start to trim the fat and cut out the noise of the things that don't belong. Okay? Good. So those 3 mantras, just repeat them to yourself each morning. My suggestion is you wake up in the morning, the first 10 minutes, go sit down someplace and just check in with yourself. You deserve that. You deserve a moment before the day gets going to sit down and just, how's Brett doing today? How am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I breathing? Just check in. It's so good for your health. Do a little breathing to get yourself where you want to be, a little meditation to focus on what you want. Take time for you. We're talking maybe 10 minutes. And then read these mantras over and let them resonate. Carry them throughout your day. Check in on them throughout the day. If you check these out 3 times a day and answer the questions to it, I promise you, most of the time right now, they're probably not going to be the answer you want. But by the end of the week, you're going to notice adjustments. You're going to go, I'm actually doing better. I am doing better. I'm not as emotional. I'm not as triggered. I am letting things go. Okay? That's what I want for you. Now, 3 tasks to complete. Okay? So what I'd like for you to do this week, do it today. The sooner the better, because if we don't do things, we start to forget when things get in the way, especially when we're in the process of growth. Okay, so 3 tasks. I want you to develop a daily routine for yourself, whatever you want it to be. Again, my suggestion, what I've done for 25 years, well, 15, it's been about the same thing for 15. I've taught everybody that works with me. Get up first thing, the first 10 minutes, get to a place where you take some private time by yourself. Check in with yourself. That's the first thing. Then do breathing exercise, breathing and some meditation. And then do whatever you want afterward. Read the mantras I gave you, say some prayers, say affirmations, visualize whatever you want to do, but take time to really check in with your life and your day. This is what's so important. Because what's happening is most of us wake up and we fight our day. The alarm goes off and we keep hitting it and we don't want to listen to the alarm. And then we don't want to go to work. We don't want to fight the traffic. We don't want to see the boss. So everything's resistance. It's really hard in that world to ever see progress because you're overwhelmed and the direction isn't clear. If you reverse that, you come back and you take time for yourself and you check in and see what you need. You adjust with your breathing and your meditation. And then you say these mantras, you say some prayers, and you say, okay, what's my intention? Like, who do I want to be today? Why am I going out today? What's my purpose? And how is this fitting into a bigger picture? All of a sudden, you feel peace. I'll tell you, one of the biggest things we do, very few of us live in the present. We're very much in the future and the past. We're always worried and stressing over something that's coming up, or we're fretting over a decision we made, a relationship or something in the past. But the thing is, every time that happens, you're missing the present moment. You're not here now. So you're not showing up as the best version of yourself. When I'm back there worrying about what happened 2 years ago with an ex, I'm not here. That's not the best version of me. So whatever I'm doing in that moment, I'm not there. Now, there are times to do that. You want to sit down and actually make a time and say, I'm going to sit down and spend an hour and kind of work on this stuff in the past that was bothering me. That's great. But don't do that when you're heading out to go to your job or when you're out with someone you love or supposed to be paying attention to your kids. That's not the time to do it. You want to do these things and become present and be in the moment. And all of a sudden you'll realize outside of a life-threatening emergency, nothing matters anymore. You're there and everything will work out, and it has a totally different value to it, a totally different energy, and you're able to navigate much more confidently, okay? So 3 tasks. I want you to develop a daily routine. I want you to use breath work daily. I'm going to give you a really simple technique right now that I give everybody, and I promise you within 2 to 3 days, this is already going to radically change the way you feel. Promise, absolute. So we all have smartphones. So in your phone, go in, like I have an iPhone, I can go into the alarms and I can create an alarm. So I create an alarm that says, check your breathing. And what I do is when I wake up in the morning, I get up at like 5:30 to 6 in the morning. So I get up at 6, I come in here at 6:10, 6:15 in the morning. I sit down in my temple. I do my morning routine. Check in with myself. How am I breathing? How am I thinking? How am I feeling? I do a few minutes of breath work, a few minutes of meditation, say my prayers, my affirmations. And then I go to my phone and I turn on the alarm that says, check your breathing. I set it for 4 hours. So like I finished my thing at 6:30 this morning. So at 10:30, I have an alarm that went off that said, check your breathing. At 10:30, doesn't matter where I'm at. 4 hours later, when that alarm goes off, I stop wherever I am. Doesn't have to be anything major, but I stop and I go, oh, good check-in. How am I doing? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I being who I'm supposed to want to be? Am I feeling good? Just take a moment and check in. If I'm off track, it gets me right back on track. If I'm a little anxious, I breathe and slow down, like, oh, okay, great. Now I'm settled. I'm present again. Thanks for the check-in. Sometimes I'll realize like, oh, I got caught off in a project. I'm not doing what I was supposed to be doing. My goals for today were X and I'm over here with H. So I readjust. And then I set the alarm again for 4 hours later. When you do this, it's really hard to have a bad day because you should be catching yourself every 4 hours. So I do this 3 times a day. I do my morning routine, and then 3 times throughout the day, I will have that alarm. So basically by 6:30, the last time has gone off for the day, and I'm usually finishing my day. So I do the last breath work or meditation, whatever I want to do to release my day. And I say, I had a great day. Here's what I'm grateful for with my day. And I'm going to set my work aside. I'm going to have an evening now for myself. I want to be present with my family. I'm going to go ahead and invest in them rather than my work. So the check-ins are huge. Please do them. I promise you, even if you just do it twice a day, you will never go longer than 4 hours in a bad day if you do this. You should be able to catch yourself and make a choice. You should be able to see it, step back and make a choice. Okay? Plan for success. That's the last one here. I'd like for you to create a 12-month plan for yourself. And there's 2 ways I make my plan. One is really simple, and it's a financial plan. This is how much I want to earn this year, how much I want to profit, how I want to do it, what are my services? And then I just break it down by month and by week. That one's really simple. That's just numbers. Okay. I do believe that you should stretch and challenge yourself. That way, because like if you don't challenge yourself, you won't reach that goal. So push beyond your comfort zone. There's no loss here. No one's grading you, or if you say you want to make 100,000 this year, why not go ahead and shoot for 125 or 150? Just put it out there and go for it. It's amazing when you stretch your mind how much further you go, but if you don't, you won't. So that's number one. So it's making just the financial snapshot of where you want your goals to be. If you have a big project, you can do that too. I was working on a retreat over the past year. So a lot of my stuff had to do with building that retreat. Everything the year, that was my biggest career goal that year. So you've got that one real focused career 12-month plan. The other thing I want you to do layered on top of that is who you want to be, right? Because we forget that there's going to be a journey of ourselves through that process. Who do you want to be when you get there? Like, how do you want this goal, this year, these accomplishments to change you, to evolve you, to enhance you? So I always write at the end of the year, this is who I'm going to be. I'm going to have gained this, gain more peace, more faith, more strength, more empathy for others, more patience, whatever it is, the things you want to do. But make those just as powerful of goals, because how you get there is important. I don't want to make $1 million a month if it means every day I get up and I'm beaten to death and want to give up, right? That's a difference. How I get there. Somebody says it's a smooth ride, yes. But if it's going to be terrible, that's a totally different plan. Okay. Now, here we go. I'll give you this one. It's down here. It's just making sure I have some. Yep, there it is. Okay, good. So next thing I want to give you is 3 habits to use daily. So we have 3 mantras that we're going to use daily. We have 3 tasks to complete, which are going to give you your daily routine. You're going to give you your daily routine of what you do. It's going to make sure you're breathing and present, so you're always sticking with that, not falling off the cart. And the other is having the plan, having the reverse engineered plan, okay? That's going to help you keep the vision. So going back to what we talked about at the beginning, the most important things are having a vision for the future that's always growing and refining. That's what you're going to create right here. And then how you show up each day, your peak performance, make sure you're the best version of yourself. That's the daily routine. And that's the check-ins with the breathing. That way, when you develop who you want to be and life happens, stress happens, you get good at getting back on track. Okay. Now, the last thing is 3 habits to use daily. Okay. Number 1, being intentional. Being intentional is so important. It means that every action you do, I write an intention for my day. I also write an intention for each action I do, for each coaching session I do. I made an intention for the webinar today. It's just how I want to show up and what I'm focusing on. Why am I doing this webinar? What do I want to make sure happens through this webinar? Okay, so being intentional, you should do it all the time. I have a lot of clients of mine run really big companies. So they've got business partners. They're doing meetings all the time. They've got high-end clients they're dealing with. They've got families. They've got kids. And it's easy to show up and not be a good dad at night because you're busy all day with so much work going on. It's 8 o'clock at night, you've been running all day, And so I'm like, before you do that, stop before you go home and see your family. Check in. How am I doing? Am I the person I want to be? Am I showing up as the best version of myself right now? If not, make an adjustment. Let me set an intention for how I want tonight to be. Tonight, I want to be present with my kids and I want to be fun. I want to be the dad that brings the fun, not the dad that's checked out and barely paying attention and watching sports out of the corner of my eye, right? Or I got to go into work in the morning. I didn't sleep well last night because I was up with my family, my kids, or whatever happened. So I'm feeling rushed today. I don't want to go in and be the rushed manager or business owner or whatever. Check in with myself. Who do I want to be? I want to be confident. I want to be a leader. I want to be someone that brings people. I want to bring them inspiration, to be somebody they can turn to and trust. Make your intentions. Now, what this says here, one of the biggest ones that I really want to impart to you is to do this week, as you make these plans this week. I want you to come up with 3 words that are going to be your intentions for the year. So this is how you're going to approach everything you do if you were to just put a brush over the whole year. Like, what's most important to you about how you show up. So my words for this year, to give you an idea, are enhance, wealth, and flow. So I chose enhance because what I developed over the past 2 years, I've done a little fine tuning with my business and certain things I do, personal friendships, everything in my life. I've kind of done a little bit of tweaking. I really like where it is right now. I don't want to change it. And so I kept sitting and thinking, like, what can I do? Because I want to make more money. I want to grow. I want to make a bigger impact, but I don't want to change it. I'm really happy with where I'm at. So I realized I want to enhance it. I want to figure out a way to enhance it. I don't want to change it, but how can I make what I'm already doing more dynamic? And I want to share something with you because it's kind of cool because I wrote this, I came up with this like in maybe November. And I was like, I don't know what it means yet. Like, I know that I want to enhance it. I'll figure it out. But that's the goal, is to keep seeking how I can do things in my life by enhancing them. As I get into a relationship, think about how I can enhance it. Looking at the projects that are ahead, how can I enhance them? So I just had this mindset kind of going, not knowing exactly what it meant it was going to be yet. And like a week or two after that, one of my good friends called me. He's also a past client. He's a very successful tech guy that works on, like 30, 40, $50 million projects for like NASA and airports and stuff, doing technology. So big time. And he called me, and long story short, we're having a conversation about something. And he said, you know what, Brett? He's like, we started working on this project and I'm doing a ton of AI stuff. We've been doing it for many years. He's like, it'd be really cool. We should build an AI version of you. I was like, oh my God, that's it. The enhance. I was like, I don't have I only work with 10 clients at a time. So I can't take on more people. I don't have the time for it. I was like, how can I get more clients? How can I help more people if I'm not available? Well, there was my answer. So we're working on building an AI version that can actually provide some additional help to my clients. So you still have me plus additional work, and then people that maybe can't work with me because I don't have the time or maybe can't afford something, there's going to be another option. So again, it's helping me enhance my business without changing it. It was fantastic. But that's how I'm approaching everything, is with that mindset of enhancing. I chose wealth because my family's going through a lot right now. I have a lot of people that are in need. They're doing financial things, and I really want to focus on being somebody that can be a patriarch for my community, and making sure that going beyond myself, I'm establishing a way to help people with those needs. And then flow. I did a great job this past year being in flow, but it was work. It took effort, like I talked about. That conscious competence, I was able to do it, but I had to work at it. This year, I don't want to work at it as much. I want flow to be a natural state for me. When I'm out, I want it to be something, an anomaly, like, oh, I'm not in flow. Let me get back, because that's where I normally am at. So those are my 3 words. So everything I'm doing, I keep going back to reminding myself that's the intentions. If I have somebody, I had 2 people present me with big business opportunities in the past week and a half, and I looked at both of them. I turned them down because I looked at those words and said, this doesn't do this. Both of them were immediately not in flow. They were taking me out of everything I'm doing. Even though they were nice opportunities, they weren't in flow. One of them didn't give me the wealth I wanted from the thing. I was like, this is pulling me away from that. And that's a focus right now. So these should become tools that you consciously think of right now. And then when it gets to June and July or October, and you're looking at something, you're having a bad month, or somebody puts an opportunity in front of you, you can look at it and say, wait a minute. I don't want to make an emotional decision right now, like Brett said. Right now, I'm stressed and I'm doing this out of stress. I'm trying to pain manage and just get through this. I'm going to go back. Let me breathe for a minute. Let me get present again. Let me check in with myself. Let me remind myself why I'm here. What was my goal for this year? What was my intention for this year? And when I'm the best version of myself, is this what I want? Is this the person I would hire, or is this the job I would give to the best version of me, right? You're becoming a parent, you're becoming aware, objective, and you're making decisions with options. That's powerful. So write those 3 words for yourself and then start to use them. They should be a part of your daily routine again. Okay. Really quick, by the way, we're going to probably run over a little bit. I don't mind that. I like to talk. I like to give a lot of info. So if you're okay, we're going to stay on. If anybody has to go, you can always message me and I'll make sure and get copies of the stuff over to you. If you're in here seeing this, you're already going to get an email with everything. So you don't have to worry about it. You'll get an email with a link for the materials. But if anything happens, just email me or my team. We'll make sure and get more information to you. Okay. So number 1, again, was being intentional, writing your 3 words. Number 2 is being mindful. Okay. Being mindful, just meaning what we're talking about here, taking time to use your emotional intelligence, taking time to be intentional and think through things before you take action. Being mindful is using the tools. It's using the tools. Meditate, do breath work, have a vision, work on the vision. Make sure that the goals you set today and for this week are tying into the things you want to do. I cannot tell you how many times I talk to people, even clients I've been working with for a while, and they'll tell me what they really want. We have a huge goal we're working towards, and I'll say, what are your goals for this week, or what's your focus? And the things they're working on don't relate to it, or they've gone back to taking low-hanging problem fruit and working on it. I'm like, but that's taking your time. How's that getting this over here done? I'll tell you, the crazy thing is, a lot of times when you focus on what you want, the more inspired you are with your vision, and the more you choose consciously, objectively to put your energy into that vision, the problems all start taking care of themselves. People are coming with like 100 problems. We start focusing on their future. We don't even talk about the problems. And all of a sudden, within a couple of weeks, there's like 2 problems. All the problems are gone. They realize like, wow, there's just a bunch of noise I was kicking up. And when you move forward, always focusing on the positive, always focusing on growth and being better in what you want, you look differently at problems. So the things that arise that still stick around are the things that really need to be worked on, but you start to see them as opportunities for growth. All the noise goes away, and you start to see, there's the behavior shift I need to make, or there's the obstacle I need to overcome. So rather than working on problems, work on growth, work on bettering yourself, work on your vision, and you will always find clarity and peace. And then the real issues will arise and you can tackle them much easier. So that's what let's talk about, being mindful. I'm going to teach you guys a technique called Take 5. Take 5 and come back better. I absolutely love this. It's such a simple technique. Again, I like to give you guys simple things that are going to produce results immediately. There's no reason not to be using these. After 1 week of you using this, you will see a change in yourself. I also think it's good to get your partners in on this, like husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends. If you got a business partner, it's good to have this as like something you use as a team, because obviously if you're doing it and another person isn't, it's a little bit more challenging. But super simple. This is to help you improve your emotional intelligence. So take 5 and come back better. This is how it works. You can do this alone, or you can do it when you're with someone else. But let's say that you're in the kitchen and you're talking with your wife, and you've come home from work and all of a sudden you're frustrated and you start to be a person you don't want to be. You're either arguing and negative or you start fighting. You stop and say, you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm going to take 5 and come back better. You tell your partner, I love you. I'm going to take 5. I want to go clear my head. I want to come back and have a good conversation with you. I want to be respectful or be positive. So you stop. You have to stop the behavior. It's one of the most important things. We call it scratching the record in my field. When a pattern's repeating all the time and it's something you don't want, scratch it. The more that you can interrupt that pattern, the harder it is to keep repeating it, right? It's like a record. If you play it forever, it's fine. If you scratch it once, then it starts being hard to play that record. So stopping the behavior in the middle of it. This is why it's good for you both to agree. So if you come in, you're negative, your wife can say to you, hey, sweetheart, maybe it's a good time to take 5. And you accept that, you embrace it. You don't argue, say, thank you so much. I am going to do that. Or vice versa. It could be husband, wife, wife, husband. But the minute you recognize you're not being the person you want to be, even if yourself, even if you're working on something at your desk at home, you get really frustrated, you're angry at yourself. You go, wait a minute. This is not, I want to be angry. I'm overwhelmed. This is not who I'm going to be right now. I'm going to take 5. So you get up and you move out of the environment. That's step number 1. You have to go to someplace else. Go out, take a walk, go sit outside on your porch, go to a different room, but you have to change environment. Step 2, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down and you're just going to breathe. I want you to do that method I gave you earlier, the 4-2-6 breathing method. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 2 seconds at the top, and then exhale slowly out the mouth for 6 seconds. And you do this for just 2 to 3 minutes, okay? Just breathe, 4-2-6, 4-2-6, really nice and slow. Again, really important when you're breathing, it's not a race. The breathing is to bring you into the most peaceful, calm state of serenity. So you want to slow down. Just breathe until you feel so peaceful, okay? After 2 or 3 minutes, the emotion will be gone. You're gonna be like, wow, I don't feel this anymore. You feel clear. Once you're clear, then the most important thing is you have to ask yourself these 2 questions. The breathing is to get the emotion processed so you can understand what the signal was. Remember, emotions are a signal. So you're trying to get the signal. Like right now, I'm so angry. I got to get out of here. I'm going to take 5. You step outside. I'm still feeling angry. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to bring, there's all this anger. Okay. All right. I'm not feeling angry anymore. I've processed the emotion. I'm clear. Now I need to learn from it. So you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, how is this helping me? It's the first question you ask yourself when you process the emotion. How is this helping me? Then you ask yourself, number 2, what am I supposed to learn from this experience? What am I supposed to learn from the experience? Okay. Really quick example. Let me tell you how this works. The past month and a half or so, I had a meeting with my team. I have a retreat team that does all my events with me. And we meet periodically and discuss what's upcoming or what we've just done recently. And they're amazing people. I love these people. They're some of my favorite people in the world. But I was going to this meeting. We were doing a Zoom meeting. There's about 8 of us. And I was feeling like really agitated. I was feeling edgy for some reason. I turned on the meeting to started to see everybody's faces coming in. I just felt all this frustration and anger. I was like, this is not who I want to be. I'm not like this. These are my favorite people. And so like I said, hey guys, you know what? Go ahead and start the meeting without me. I'm going to take 5. I'll be back in just a minute. They knew what that meant. So I went outside, sat down, started breathing, processing it. Why am I frustrated? You know, I was doing this. It took me about like 3-4 minutes. All of a sudden I was calm. I was like, okay. I asked myself, how is this helping me? And your mind's going to tell you. There's not like an answer. I mean, like, it's not something you can tell ahead of time. Your mind will tell you in the moment when you process that real emotion. My mind said, this is helping you because you love these people and you were being edgy and you didn't want to say or do something that would hurt these relationships. I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. I have nothing wrong with these people. I've just got something going on. Then I was like, what am I supposed to learn from this experience? I sat and thought about it. And I was like, you know why I'm frustrated? Because everybody had an assignment. They were doing research on things about events we're going to do and stuff they could bring to the table. And I hadn't really gotten any updates. I didn't know what was going on. I felt like I was in the dark. And so I was like, has anything been done? Why are we even having the meeting? And then I realized, did I ask anybody for that? I didn't ask anybody to update me. I didn't tell them to send me anything. I didn't give them a format. So nobody knew. I had all these expectations and nobody even knew about. So I was like, how is this helping me? I need to go back and I need to share with them what I want if this is what I want them to do. So I came back and told them, I said, sorry guys, I was frustrated about this. And I realized I didn't even give you guys the protocols. Here's how I would like for you to do this moving forward. Here's what will help us. And everybody just adopted it. And now it's been fantastic. But if I hadn't done that process, I'd have either said or done something that would have bothered me or caused a problem with our relationships, or I'd have sat there and not really had a good meeting and been frustrated the whole time. Instead, I fixed the problem, I improved our relationships, and I grew as a leader. Okay? So take 5 is so important. One of the things that's so important about this thing, a keynote, is when you sit down to process the emotions, when you're angry and you say, I'm going to take 5 and you step away, you've got to sit down and do the breath work until you process the emotion. Some people are always so rushed about everything. They'll run out and say, well, I did breathing for a minute or two. Like, did you still feel angry? Yeah. Then keep breathing. You have to keep breathing until the emotion's gone. It's not going to take that long. But I'm going to tell you, a big thing to learn is surrender. When you surrender, everything happens for you. When you don't surrender, you're fighting and it resists you. It's like if you're always pushing and telling yourself you don't have enough time, you got to rush, it's not going to work. Slow down. Just let it go. I'll tell you, in 25 years of doing this, no one has still to this day ever told me they should have gone faster. But everybody always says I should have gone slower. I should have slowed down. I should have listened to you. I should have taken a break. I should have taken my time. I should have thought it through. Give yourself more time. It's amazing. This is one of these things about life that's just kind of strange, but the more time you give yourself, the more time you have. I know that sounds silly, but I mean, when I give myself time and I relax, I say I got all the time I need, time just opens up everywhere. It just becomes peaceful and I don't feel rushed. The minute I tell myself I don't have time, there's never any time. Okay? Embrace this method. It should improve your emotional intelligence and it should improve your relationships. But get your partners in on it so that you can both do it together. Okay? All right. Number 3, being disciplined. This is disciplined with everything we talked about here. So, review your words daily. That's the 3 intentions we're talking about creating for the year. You should look at those every morning, read them, make sure they resonate, and think about how you want to apply them to your day. Set a daily intention. Today, who do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? I do this with a lot of my clients. We check in pretty much, several times a week, and we're like, okay, you're getting ready to start the week. Who do you want to be today? All of them are like business owners or managers. And so they're going in, they've got teams of people that rely on them. And they want to go in, today I want to be the guy that's joyful. I want to be the guy that's inspiring. I want to be the one that the leader that people can come to. And it makes a difference. We set these things. And I'll tell you, I have clients where they won't do it certain weeks. And they'll tell me the week was okay. Then we set this simple thing the next week. And they're like, I accomplished every single thing like I said I would. The whole week I was joyful. The whole week I was a leader. And the people notice it. People will come to them all of a sudden and start asking questions and saying, thank you. I feel like I was really supported this week. It makes a huge difference. Surrender to the purpose. So to speak, process. Surrender to the process. So make a plan, work the plan, and embrace it. What I mean by this is, unfortunately, what most of us do when we get to the point of actually making a plan, if we make a plan and then we either don't take action or we start to take action, and the minute that something doesn't go the way we want or we expected, we give up. We say, oh, I messed up. I'm not good enough. I knew it. I have to change it. We go and start retooling it. Please don't do that. That's the reason why most people fail at their goals and plans. Like success, the formula for success is failure, 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 and then success. That's just how it works. Because that's the part of growth. It's showing you there's something that you're not as skilled at as yet, or something you don't know, or better opportunities coming up. You have to be flexible. The reason I've given you all these disciplines is so that when something happens, rather than going, oh, I'm angry, I'm just going to change, or I give up, or I'm leaving, you make a plan, you execute the plan, and something doesn't go right, and you go, hold on a second, that's really frustrating. I'm really angry that didn't happen. But I know that my emotions are a signal, and this is happening for me. So rather than behaving through the anger and throwing everything away, I'm going to go take 5. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to let go of the anger. I'm going to ask myself, how does this help me? What am I supposed to learn from this? And then when I get that information, I'm going to make that my action plan that I go work on, because that's the obstacle to overcome to get to the next step. That's what will make that step successful next time when you do it. And also, I check in and go, okay, again, how does this align with my vision? How does it align with my intentions for myself? And everything just keeps bringing you back to the same person. Nothing is a piece that's far out here separate from things. They're all pieces that keep bringing you back to you being present in the moment, the ideal you. The intentions bring you back to who you want to be. The breath work brings you back to the present moment. The take 5 gets you over the emotional thinking, helps you be objective. Your disciplines help you to focus on your day and show up as your best. Everything is bringing you back all the time. You got your alarm going off every 4 hours. So if everything falls apart and it's a crazy day, something goes, hey, Brett, stop. I know it's been crazy. Check in. I'm here to remind you, get back and do your disciplines. You shouldn't go off track for more than 4 hours. Okay? Now, obviously, there's adjustments because these things are new. So it's going to be turbulent building like I have here. The next thing is have faith. It's hard building up the confidence in it, knowing to surrender. It's hard at the beginning. I've been doing this a long time and I still have things that will happen. I'm like, okay, I'm having faith. I'm like, but maybe should I grab on? Do I need to grab on and do more now? And you're like, nope, trust it. Just trust it. Everything's telling me not to, even though part of me wants to do it. So just remember, having faith is important. Trust in God, trust in yourself, trust in the work that you've done. Okay. I promise you, you can go back to this over and over. Look at this again. I promise you, when you embrace what's happening, no matter how good, bad, or ugly, and you say, there's a reason that's happening. I'm going to do all these techniques Brett talked about. I'm going to give it a day or give it a week, and I'm going to see how this is. I promise you, things will start to shift. They always do. The only time they don't is when we force. Okay. I don't have this written on here, but I want to give you guys this because this is something really important I share all the time. Write down forcing versus flowing. Another thing that you can do in your day, when you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, when you feel like life is just pushing back against you, stop and ask yourself, am I forcing life right now? Or am I flowing with life right now? Meaning like I talked to a guy yesterday. He's a great guy, one of my current clients. He's a big insurance guy. And so he was talking about a couple of people. He got his new clients last week. They contacted him and said, hey, I'd love to do a deal with you. Let's talk on Friday. And this one guy told him on Friday they'd talk at this time, and then he pushed the time back, and then he called him, wasn't there, and then he said, call another time. And so he was tracking him because he wanted to get the business. And he's like, and the guy didn't answer. And then he called him once, and then he was ready to call him again. And he was like, wait a minute. Okay, this went from, he was excited and he was doing everything he could to show up and be his best. He's like, now it's starting to get towards forcing though. I'm feeling like I'm constantly pushing this person over and over and over, right? So he was like, let me step back. Flowing is letting it go and saying, it's okay. I'm not going to push. If he wants the business, he'll reach out to me. Now, this didn't mean that he never makes the call, but 4 calls in one day, 2 text messages, 2 reschedules is starting to force. And so sometimes in life, we just do it. Relationships, a lot of times, like we're with somebody and it's just not working out. Obviously, you want to take the healthy steps, maybe work together on stuff, get a coach, get a therapist, do some things and make some changes. But if you're having to tell your partner all the time, hey, we're supposed to work on this. Hey, we have a session tonight. You're going to go to the therapy. Hey, can we sit down and talk? Hey, we made a plan. That's forcing. You're having to force them and you're having to force yourself. You got to step back and say, this is not in flow. What needs to change? Okay. But it's really important because that's when we are not having faith and surrendering, and you're going to start to make mistakes because rather than learning the lesson that's there, you're forcing yourself into a new lesson, which a lot of times is not the one you needed. It may just be wasted time. Stay accountable. Really important. Find someone to keep you on track. Find someone that, I think it's great to do it weekly. I have good friends or accountability partners. I have clients. With all my clients, we talk about goals together. Like we set goals with our health together. We set goals with our work. And so multiple people are holding me accountable. Every time I get on the phone, we talk about, how are you doing in your progress? How's the goal going? Did you accomplish this thing? Did you do that thing? It's fun. It keeps us all clear. And I know that there's about 15 people that know what my goals are right now. And so at any given time, they're going to call me on it. And it's nice to have that extra layer of accountability and also the support. Okay. But it's big. If you don't have accountability, it's easy to just say, to make excuses and not recognize when you're being emotional. Okay. And then last thing is you have to redefine time. Our relationship with time is pretty messed up for most people. You have all the time you need. You have all the time you need. I say this on your stop using the excuse, I don't have time. You have all the time you need. It's about getting better at managing it. And the funny thing is I'll have people call me and say, I am so unhappy with my life. I'm so unfulfilled. I'm overwhelmed. I don't like my career. And they'll literally tell me, if this doesn't work, I don't change something, I don't know how I'm going to go on. And then I'll give them a couple simple things to do. Like, let's wake up in the morning and do 5 minutes of meditation. Like, I don't have time to do five in the morning. My mornings are crazy. I can't do 5 minutes of breath work. And I'm like, what are you racing off to? You just told me you're so unhappy with your life. You don't know if you want to carry on, but you don't want to take time, 5 minutes to do something that's going to fundamentally change your life and improve your health, right? That's just really bad time management. It's the story we're telling ourselves, right? And sometimes we're telling ourselves unhealthy stories. So don't use excuses. When you find you're using an excuse and say, I don't have time, then that's something you need to work on. Say, there's resistance right there. There's where I'm resisting and forcing in life, forcing time. I need to find a place to flow with time. And what you'll realize is you probably have a pretty chaotic, disorganized lifestyle. You probably spend so much more time doing something and figuring things out than you need to. Okay. So really important to do that. Something else I'll just throw out there. You guys, we can chat about this in another time. But if you have really big problems with time, I would check into do some research into time blocking and into batching. So time blocking is always scheduling something for a specific time. Like instead of just saying, sometime this week I have to finish that proposal. Never do that. If I get a proposal Monday, somebody says, can you send me a proposal for this work together? I will say, yes, I will have it to you on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And I put right on my calendar that on Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m., I sit down for an hour and I write that proposal. Everything gets scheduled in. You can always change it later, but schedule it immediately so the time doesn't get away and so you're committing to actually doing it. The other thing is, so that's time blocking. The other is batching. When you batch, it means doing things of similar kind at the same time. Like, don't wake up in the morning and go, in the morning, I'm going to do a podcast interview, then I got to write articles, then I'm going out meeting with clients, and I'm coming home and I'm doing taxes. Like, man, your brain is all over the place. That's so exhausting. Your day should be, I wake up in the morning on Monday and I spend, an hour reading and then an hour writing content. And then I end up doing the afternoon setting up my marketing for the week. That's all the same type of thinking. That's batching. I do all my stuff. I have all my coaching sessions all together at one, and like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday within a block of time. That's all I do. So when I'm in that, it's only client focused. I'm not leaving that and running and doing laundry and then mowing the yard and landscaping. That's crazy. You got to keep your mind focused. What it does is it helps you be more focused. It also helps you get better at what you're doing. When I do the first call at 10 or 11 a.m. and then by 5 o'clock, I'm on the 6th or 7th call, I'm in a zone on coaching. Okay. So time block and batching will also help you a lot. Okay. So again, I'm going to go back on these really quick just so we see them. 3 daily habits. Be intentional. Write your 3 words for the year. Write your words each day and stick with them. Revisit them daily and throughout the day. Number 2, be mindful. Use your breath work. Use the tools. Focus on showing up as the best version of yourself. And most importantly, being in the moment. Take 5 method will help you with emotional intelligence, processing emotions, not being triggered, and also being present. And then being disciplined. Review your 3 daily words. Again, set your intention for the day. Surrender to the process and stay accountable. These things are going to really help you advance, okay? Now, just something else we'll throw in here real quick that I'm going to recap. Bonus thing. Something I do whenever I feel, and I've learned this is something I enjoy doing, and now it's become something that is a great passion of mine. But whenever I'm overwhelmed, like I put this in here, there's a scripture by Luke in the Bible. It says, "It's more blessed to give than to receive." It really is. Like whenever I have a problem, even if I'm not feeling well, rather than focusing on my problem, what I will do is I'll time block my problem out and say, it's Monday. I'll deal with that on Friday at 2 p.m. And then what I do is I go to town helping people. I pick up the phone, I call clients and check in with them. I call family members, I call friends, I give back. I go do things that I do where I give back to organizations, etc. But I just give. I find any place that I can go make an impact and help. Now, my personal passion in life, my greatest passion is helping others. It's making a positive impact in my life and the lives of others every day. So it really ticks a big box for me, but it helps anyone. There's really something magical about the universe that when you can step away from your problem and you can help someone else, what's happening is, there's a spiritual side of it. There's also a psychological, scientific side of it. One is you're shifting your focus. You get into a state where you're giving. When you're giving, you're at a really heightened state of yourself. It's a good version of you. You feel good. The emotions you get, the mindset, the perspective, and also the energy you get from helping someone is really recharging. You're doing a great thing for them. So there's all that beautiful benefit. Same thing is, at the same time, you're also shifting your mind out of the problematic version of yourself that was frustrated and angry and stuck, and you're becoming a version of yourself that's more heightened, that's better performing, and then feels good. So then when you look back at your problem, you either don't really care that much about it because it doesn't have as big of a sting, or you see it in a new way and you see it as a challenge, as an opportunity for growth. So giving back, helping, it doesn't have to be monetary either. You don't have to give back with money. People can use so much. Pick up the phone and just tell a friend you care about them. Let somebody know that, you're there. Just anything you can do. Like sometimes opening a door for somebody can change their day. But just always seek the ways that you can give back. I have a mantra I live by that says, I leave every situation better than I found it. And that is something that's in my bones, whether I am going to a gas station, a grocery store, a retreat, no matter what it is. I want to make sure I leave it better than I found it. It keeps me present to giving back and showing up as a good version of myself. Okay. Now, this was supposed to be a quote. I'm going to read it to you guys because for some reason it just would not let me put the quote up here. It's a great quote I just found the other day. It says, "Success is not the result of spontaneous combustion. You must set yourself on fire." Arnold Glasgow. I think that's a fantastic quote. And it's true. You have to be the fire. You have to have the fire, the passion in you to make these things happen. Let me grab this back here. And my last one there. Last of the infographic. So again, you guys, really quick, what we're going to do is when I get done, you will get an email from my assistant that is going to have a link in it so you can go download this infographic. Okay. What the infographic is going to have is everything we talked about today broken down into sections for you. It's going to tell you the 3 daily mantras, the 3 tasks to complete, and the 3 habits to use daily. Remember, the goal is right now this week, start creating that future vision, that vision of what you want financially or that big goal for the year, and also how that impacts or changes you as a person. That's number 1. So you're like, what is 2025 mean? When I get to 2026, what's the big thing I want to have accomplished personally as a person and as what I've accomplished for myself in growth and progress? When you have that plan, reverse engineer it. Take each month and come back each month and figure out how many blocks do you need to make that thing complete, and break it down equally. And then say January is the month of this, and February is the month of this, and March is the month of that. And then each month you break it down. So if January is the month of cleaning house, it's getting everything organized and getting my routine and all this stuff in place. Then the first week I do this, and the second week I do this, and the third week. That way you're always seeing the progress. Okay. That's the vision. The next thing is starting to develop your daily routine. Getting up in the morning, checking in with yourself, doing breath work, reading over these mantras, setting an intention for the day, and then saying, now that I've done that, now that I am the best version of myself, because I checked in to make sure I'm good, I did a little breathing, a little meditation so I could focus on what's important to me. I asked myself who I want to be today, so I'm clear on that. And I set that intention. Then I say, okay, and now what do I want to do today that's going to help me accomplish this big monthly goal and help me get to that big 2025 goal? Always tying everything in, right? This makes sure you never waste your time. Then you set your alarm for every 4 hours to go off for your breathing. That helps you from ever having a bad day. Make sure that you have 3 or 4 times a day you get to stop and check in that should remind you to come back to any of these other tools and make sure you've got what you need. The best thing about all this, guys, is you're going to feel better. You're going to produce better. You're going to be less stressed. Your relationships are going to be better. Communicate, your energy. And then any goal you want, you're going to set better goals because you're doing it from a mind that's not doing pain management, but a mind that's inspired. And then the way you approach it, set it, and perform it, it's going to be off the charts. Okay? So that was all the information. I know I fire hosed you guys with a ton of stuff. I hope that this has been great value for you. For me, like I said, this is my greatest passion. I really want you to have a great year. I want you to have a better year, and it really starts here. It starts with your heart. It starts with your mind. The most important thing is be kind to yourself. You have so much more time than you realize. You have so much more abilities than you realize. So all you have to do is really just give yourself grace. Anything that happens is for you, and take the time when something happens to understand it. Things are not just out there to curse you. They're not just out there to just mess your life up. They're trying to navigate you. It's trying to point you the right direction, give you a compass to follow. So check in with yourself and say, why did that happen? Let me understand it. And when you truly understand it with a mind that wants to use it as growth, that thing is gone and you will not repeat it. Okay. So let's evolve this year. Let's let go of the things, the bad past patterns, and let's allow ourselves to use grace and passion and vision to create a much happier and healthier 2025. Okay. Awesome, guys. I appreciate all of you so very much. And if you need anything, feel free to use the same channels that you reach to us to reach back out. Let me know. We'll be getting the infographic out to you soon. And as always, remember, extraordinary is only a thought away. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. Remember, if anybody's interested in working with me, you can always go to my calendar and schedule a consultation. I know a couple of you sent me some messages about that. So just go to my calendar and we'll schedule a time to talk about it. I do one-on-one coaching primarily right now. And the other thing is events. I have a lot of people that are hiring us to do our retreats and our one-day retreats and full-day retreats for your companies. So if that's something you're looking for your company or your team, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about how we can design something awesome for you guys this year. And again, I thank you so much for taking the time today. God bless and have an amazing, amazing 2025. I'll see you guys really soon.